pursuant to this point, right? It makes sense that you can't have wealth without being part of the status quo and without respecting the existing political system, because anyone with wealth that didn't understand how to work the political system loses it all. Right, so it's almost like by definition, of course, the people with all the money in a stable society are invested in the society, because everyone that disagreed with the premise of the society, if you don't know how to work the legal system, the political system, then it was just taken away from you by someone that did. So it shouldn't surprise us that the corporations and the extremely wealthy are very comfortable, and they're not quick to challenge the status quo. But I do think, the key to rational behavior is a decentralized world where there is a separation of power and a set of checks and balances. And so, in governments where there's simply one central federal authority, you tend to have the most extreme, terrifying authoritarian behavior. In the U.S., we have states, and states have some rights to a certain degree, and the states tend to put some check on each other, and that's a source of virtue. We have a lot of wealthy people outside the U.S., and so to the extent that you have people in the Middle East and South America, I think you actually find there are a lot of wealthy people in South America and various countries, right, that aren't necessarily, they're not necessarily embedded to their knees in concrete in the U.S. system. And so they see the benefit of Bitcoin, but it's not politically, and it's not wise for them to announce their commitment to Bitcoin, because they would be targets in their local country.
Right.
If you think about everyone in China, South America, and Africa, right, to a certain extent, right, the virtuous aspect of Bitcoin is the fact that it is both mobile, but also it is invisible wealth.
Right.
So you could argue that, that I undermined half of the value of my Bitcoin by making it visible.
Yeah.
I did it for a reason, and the reason is someone needed to do it. But I wouldn't say everyone needs to do it. If you, for example, had as much Bitcoin as me, and you lived in Venezuela right now, or any country on Earth,
right,
I wouldn't necessarily, unless you were quite secure in your own situation, or unless you're willing, to take the brunt of the pushback for standing up in favor of Bitcoin for some other reason, I would say I would not encourage most people in an unstable political situation to announce they have Bitcoin. I'm quite sure, for example, there are substantial Bitcoin holders that have made massive investments in Bitcoin in China. But I don't think it's...
Obviously, we're not going to hear about their stories, yeah.
Well, if you live in a corrupt society where they seize the wealth of anybody that has it,
mm-hmm.
then there's two types of people: those that announce they have it, that lose it in short order, and those that don't announce they have it and that you're not seeing. So I actually think there are a lot of people that, I'm not the only one that's bought $1 billion of Bitcoin. I'm the only one that's been in a position to announce it, and I've had a lot of reasons to announce it, right? I think that over the next 4 years, you'll see more. I actually think there's a huge amount of money in the crypto ecosystem right now, trading on crypto exchanges, trading in crypto tokens, trading in cryptocurrencies like stablecoins. And I think that over time, a lot of that capital will flow into Bitcoin because there's no other place for it to flow. So as people lose faith in crypto exchanges, and they lose faith in other crypto networks, and they lose faith in other cryptocurrencies, they're not going to go back to the fiat system. They're going to flow into Bitcoin, and the meltdown of crypto will be a melt up of Bitcoin, and so that'll be an interesting time period. And I think that'll be the next wave. It'll be a melt up of Bitcoin and a meltdown of crypto, and then the wave after that will be an emergence of Bitcoin as the highest form of property, right? And I would say the first investable commodity.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to beat up on commodities, but I really think that if you're an investor, there is no rational argument for investing in soybeans, corn, oil, raw natural gas, silver, copper, gold, platinum, palladium, or diamonds. Like whatever it is, it's a commodity. I think that I know people may be offended by this. I don't think there's any intelligent investor who believes that you should invest in any of those commodities. I don't think you can create a theoretical argument for investing in any of them. And the reason why is, in the beginning of my business career, we had I worked for DuPont for a while, and we built models. And we built models to predict the profitability of every DuPont business, Lycra and nylon and titanium dioxide and all the polymers and the freons and the chemicals. And there was one dirty word at DuPont. And you know what the dirtiest word was? No. Commodity. Like, we do not want to be commoditized or commodified. We don't want to sell commodity. Specialty. Differentiated specialty was the good word. Like, this was good, that was awful.
Yeah.
And the reason that was awful was anybody can make a commodity. You see? Mm-hmm. Anybody can make a commodity. That's the definition of commodity, right? And so there aren't any mainstream investors that are intelligent invested in commodities. They might invest in the company that produces the oil in the country, and then it only works if they form a cartel.
Right.
OPEC.
Yeah.
If you have it only works when I form a cartel or I get a monopoly on producing the commodity.
De Beer is another one, famous one.
If I have a diamond cartel and oil cartel, or I produce natural gas, but you know how it works? I'm the only one with a pipeline. And then I pay someone to protest the other pipeline because I don't want two pipelines. Because if there's two pipelines, my price is going to zero or my profit's going to zero. Yeah. So the commodity business is, in essence, a political business that revolves around creating cartels and creating tariffs and creating restraints of trade. And if you're fortunate enough to do that, maybe you make money in the business of producing it. Yeah. But if I offered you $1 billion of soybeans or $1 billion of natural gas or $1 billion of gold or $1 billion of silver in that warehouse and said, do you want to hold it for 100 years? If you thought about it, you'd realize it's the dumbest thing you could possibly imagine. Right. So along comes Bitcoin, and what do people think, right? In the mainstream. I'm talking about the people with hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars that actually got rich by being intelligent investors. They all learned that you get poor by investing in commodities. Yeah. Okay? So the first of all, they're not investing in Bitcoin because they're deniers. It's tulip bulbs and it's a scam. And if it's the Peter Schiffs of the world, if they think that, they're not going to invest. So then they migrate to skeptics. It's really good something, but it's too good, and the government will ban it.
Blockchain, not Bitcoin.
So they're not going to invest in that because it's too good to be true, and the government will ban it. And they don't invest in. They didn't get rich investing in things the government was against. Yeah. So then it has to go to stage 3. They're traders or they're investors, and it's an asset. Yeah. Well, if it's a commodity, Bitcoin is a digital commodity. Like, well, wait a minute. Did anybody ever get rich buying a bunch of commodities? No. Right. So it's not. I'm not buying a commodity, and you have to actually get. I trade a commodity. Yeah. Like I will trade soybeans. I will trade cotton. I will trade pork bellies. I will short and go long natural gas. I'm a trader, but I'm not long-term to that, right? So maybe we get there. You have to get beyond that to this epiphany it's the first commodity you can't make more of.
Yeah.